In the 1600s, 90% of a continent's people vanished in a single century, and your textbook called it contact. You were never told it had a name. Historians call it the Great Dying. And the reason it disappeared from your education isn't an accident, it's a choice. Here's what you were taught. Columbus sailed. Europeans arrived. Native populations declined. That word, declined, is doing a lot of work. Between 1492 and 1600, somewhere between 55 and 90 million people died across the Americas. That's not a decline. That's the single largest death toll in recorded human history. Bigger than World War II, bigger than the Black Death. It happened on 2 continents in under 100 years, and most Americans can't name it. Ask anyone. They'll know the Holocaust. They'll know Hiroshima. They won't know the Great Dying. That gap is the whole story. The first revelation is the scale nobody teaches. Smallpox moved faster than any European boot ever did. It hit Mexico in 1520, and within 2 years, an empire of millions was gutted before a single major battle was fought. In Peru, disease arrived before the conquistadors even landed, killing the Inca emperor and triggering a civil war that Pizarro then walked into and claimed as a conquest. Entire river valleys in North America, thriving, farmed, populated, were empty forests by the time English settlers showed up a century later. They called it wilderness. It was a graveyard. Whole cities along the Mississippi, cities bigger than London at the time, were gone, their mounds mistaken for hills. And it gets stranger. Some estimates put the death rate in certain regions above 95%, not 95% of soldiers. 95% of everyone, grandmothers, infants, entire bloodlines, gone in 2 generations. Missionaries wrote letters describing villages where every single person was dead, and they walked through them collecting goods like nothing had happened. Diseases nobody in the Americas had ever built immunity to, smallpox, measles, influenza, ran ahead of European contact by decades in some places, meaning the new world that colonizers described as empty and waiting for them had been emptied by them, indirectly, before they ever arrived to see it. But here's what doesn't add up. If this was just disease, an accident of biology, nobody would need to hide it. Diseases aren't crimes. So why did it take until the 1970s for the term Great Dying to even exist in mainstream scholarship? Why does the word genocide almost never appear next to it in American textbooks, even now? Something happened after the dying, something that turned a tragedy into a cover story. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. The buried why is this. The myth of the untouched wilderness, the empty, virgin land waiting for settlers, wasn't a mistake. It was necessary. If North America was empty, there was no one to have stolen it from. Colonizers weren't taking land from thriving nations. They were settling nothing. That single framing, empty land, not conquered land, became the legal and moral foundation for everything that followed. Treaties, removals, reservations, all of it rests on the lie that no one substantial was there first. Acknowledging the Great Dying at full scale means acknowledging that the wilderness was staged. It means acknowledging that the deaths, even the disease deaths, followed deliberate patterns, burned food stores, blocked trade routes, forced marches that finished what smallpox started. Some historians now argue the dying wasn't purely accidental at all in its later waves, that starvation and displacement were used to accelerate a collapse that had already begun. A civilization doesn't get to call itself a rescuer of empty land while standing in the wreckage of the one it emptied. So the number got softened. Decline, contact, exchange. Words built to keep you from asking the next question. And there's a detail that should terrify you more than any of it. Scientists now believe the deaths were so massive, so fast, that farmland across 2 continents went wild again within decades, forests reclaiming millions of acres almost overnight. That regrowth pulled so much carbon out of the atmosphere that it may have helped trigger a global cooling event, a mini ice age that chilled Europe itself in the 1600s. The dying didn't just erase a people. It changed the planet's climate, and almost no one alive today has ever heard that sentence before. So ask yourself what else got renamed. What other declines in your textbook were actually something else, something someone needed you not to look at too closely. If they could erase the largest death toll in human history and replace it with one word: contact, what couldn't they erase?